This is another method of factorising quadratics, and this method is called the Crisscross method. So here we have a quadratic that has a coefficient in front of the x squared of 6, a coefficient in front of the x which is 10, and a constant of -4. And for this particular method we need to draw ourselves a t. This is just so we have a table for some values, and at the top of this t we want to have two numbers that multiply to make this 6, and we can either have 6 multiplied by 1 or 3 multiplied by 2. So to start with, I'm going to try the 3 and the 2. Now, if what we're doing here doesn't work with the 3 and the 2, then we'll have to do the table again, but with the 6 and the 1. Now, that's at the top of the table. Underneath it, we now need pairs of numbers that are going to multiply to make 4. Okay, and at the moment I'm ignoring the sign, and so those pairs, we have 1 multiplied by 4, or we could have 4 multiplied by 1, or we could have 2 multiplied by 2. Now, the reason this is called a crisscross method is because we're going to be multiplying across. So we have the 3 here, we're going to multiply by the 4, and that is 12, and we're going to have the 2 multiplied by the 1 to give us 2. Now those two numbers there, 2 and 12, it's possible to use those two to make the 10, which is the coefficient of x, because we could have plus 12x and minus 2x, so that would give us our 10x. Well, let's just also see what other options that we have. So we have the 3 multiplied by the 1, which is 3, and the 2 multiplied by the 4, which is 8, and with 8 and 3 we can't make 10, and the last one, 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, and 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, and between those two, yes, they could make 10. So we'll try the first one with the 2 and the 12. If that doesn't work, we can always come down to using the 2 and the 2. Now, using the 2 and the 12 and the numbers that are associated with that, so in other words, we have the 3 and the 1 and the 2 and the 4. So in our brackets, because these are going to be double brackets, we're going to have 3x and then a 1 in that first bracket, and in the second bracket we're going to have a 2x and 4. So the only thing that's to be decided now is the sign. Now, if we look back at the table, the larger number that was created was the 12, and that was associated with the 4, and so that means that the sign in front of the 10x, which is a positive, a plus, needs to go with that larger number, so in this case here. Now, what do we have to multiply 4 by to get minus 4? Well, that's going to be minus 1. So in the other bracket we've got 3x minus 1, and then the second bracket 2x plus 4. Now, always double check that you have indeed factorised correctly. And so expand the bracket just to double check. So 3x multiplied by 2x is 6x squared. 3x multiplied by 4 is 12x. Negative 1 multiplied by 2x is minus 2x. And negative 1 multiplied by 4 is minus 4. Collect together all the like terms, and you have 6x squared plus 10x minus 4. And that's what we started with, so those two brackets are exactly what is needed. Now, I'm going to look at another one now. And for this particular one, we have 2x squared minus x minus 21. And we'll do the same thing again. So we've got our t table, and the only two numbers that can multiply to make the 2 are going to be 2 and 1. Next, we're going to need our pairs that are going to multiply to make 21. So we have 1 multiplied by 21, 21 and 1, 3 and 7, 7 and 3. And so there aren't any more options there for us. Now, so using the crisscross, we then have 2 multiplied by 21 is 42, 1 multiplied by 1 is 1, and that 1 and 42 are not going to make the coefficient that we need here, which is 1, because the next on its own is just 1x, so that's not going to work. 21 and 2, that's not going to work either. 1 multiplied by 3, so that's this 1 and this 3, is 3. 2 multiplied by 7 is 14. Again, that's not going to give us the 1. So let's have a look. The 1 multiplied by 7 is 7. The 2 multiplied by 3 is 6. And there we can see 7 and 6. We can make a 1 out of those two. So that means that we're going to be needing the 2 and the 7. So let's put that into that first bracket. So we've got 2x and 7 in there. And in the second bracket we've got the 1 and 3. And because we don't put a 1 in front of an x, that's just x and 3. And the only thing left to clear up now are the signs. And so the larger number here is 7, so that means that the bracket that we used for that is going to take the sign in front of the x, so that's the negative sign. And negative 7 multiplied by something is negative 21, so that means that has to be plus 3. As before, let's just do the check. And of course you can do this in your head, but I'm just going to write this out. So 2x multiplied by x is 2x squared. 2x multiplied by 3 is 6x. Negative 7 multiplied by x, negative 7x. And negative 7 multiplied by 3 is negative 21. Collect the like terms. 2x squared plus 6x minus 7x, which gives us our negative x minus 21. And that does indeed give us our original quadratic. So we've shown that in the end those two double brackets that were factorised are indeed correct. It does take a little bit of practice with this method, and this method is perfectly achievable in your head if you give yourself enough practice.